And for those of you who have not heard yet, I'm sorry to break the news to you if you haven't heard that John Lennon has been shot in New York City and died upon arrival at the hospital. He was rushed to a hospital in a police car and died upon arrival. Paraquat has just gotten to the station. He is sorting out all of the facts from rumors and getting as many details as he can on the story. As I say, he just arrived. David Berry has been there working real hard, along with Phil, and we're trying to put the pieces together, and we will have some more information for you as soon as we get it. To repeat, a New York policeman now says that the assailant who gunned down former Beatle John Lennon in front of his luxurious, why do they always write that, in front of his apartment in New York, had been stalking John Lennon for several days. I don't know how they knew that. A police spokesman said Lennon was shot some 5 to 7 times shortly before 11 o'clock Pacific Eastern Time. As he returned from a late-night recording session, police sources close to the investigation said that the gunman walked up to John Lennon as he was leaving his limousine, asked Lennon's name, and then fired a gun from under his coat. Lennon staggered about 5 feet to a small guard's booth in the courtyard of the building, and the chief of detective, James Sullivan, said that the suspect in custody, whose identity is being withheld, was apparently, and I'm quoting now, a wacko from out of town.
At about 10:50 this evening, he was shot. Mr. John Lennon, the ex-Beatle, was shot at 1 West 72nd Street. He was removed to Roosevelt Hospital where he expired.
Just like starting over, John and Yoko, and something that we were all, of course, looking forward to was the I don't want to say comeback, because he never went away. The reissuing of statements, the new outlook, the new things that John Yoko had to say to us after the 5-year hiatus that they had taken from public life, to do something real frivolous and real rock star, esque, and something that you would expect of somebody who was just in it for the money. They took 5 years off of raking in the money so they could raise a child, their child, little Sean, and that's where they thought the priority should go, not into making the platinum records, but into this little human being that they had conceived together, and that's why they'd been gone. And it's incredible that, of course, this album would come out now, and all of this mess would happen. What I'm trying to say is here that we're all going to miss John Lennon very, very much, and I really don't know what the hell to say, because he was just too much a part of our lives, and he meant too much to all of us. To be taken from us in such a stupid and insane manner, in any manner. I mean, I could have understood a quiet death in old age. I could have understood maybe John Lennon being off for his beliefs. Maybe it was, but it just seems like this was just senseless. There is no rhyme nor reason to this asshole that did this, and I just wish I knew what to say to make some sense out of it for you and for me. But there's nothing. The only thing that we have to hang on to remind us that there is some truth, there is some love, that there is some sense of this madness that we are accepting as life here, this ridiculous excuse for sanity that we tell ourselves when we wake up in the morning that, gee, this is going to be a good day. I'm going to go out and make me some money. I'm going to go out and get to the top of my field. I'm going to go out and do something that's really important. Well, John Lennon did something that's important. John Lennon talked to you and I, and he talked to us of true things. He talked to us of love, and that is the John Lennon that we must keep alive. Beatles with Tomorrow Never Knows. John Lennon's watching The Wheels from the Just Like Starting Over album. Also heard God and Imagine. Okay, the Beatles with Rain before that. Crippled Inside from John Lennon. Nowhere Man from the Beatles. And from the White Album we heard Happiness is a Warm Gun. This is KMET Los Angeles. Paraquat is here. He has got a late breaking report. We are getting that together now. And we will bring that to you in just a few moments. Until then, until we get this further information, I would just like to state for this next set that above all of the political concepts that he stood for, above all of the bed-ins for peace, the protest against the war, the women's rights movement, all of the many things that John Lennon helped to enlighten us to, helped to hip us to, helped to get us to think about, argue about, disagree with him about, agree with him about, all of those things that he stirred up in us, and all of the emotions and the thoughts and the many discussions over the many joints in front of the many fireplaces around the world, and all the bowls of hash that were smoked while discussing these concepts. It all came down to one very simple word. And if we have learned anything from the man, anything, and if his death is to mean anything at all, then we must remember this word. The Beatles, All You Need Is Love, and the Word. This is KMET Los Angeles. And as promised, Prequat Kelly is here with a KMET News report directly from New York City.
The bad news is John Lennon is dead. What could you tell us right from the very beginning so we can bring everybody up to date exactly what happened here?
Well, basically what we know is that John Lennon was at a studio here in New York mixing what we believe was going to be a new single, or it was mixing some sort of sound, and he told his producer, Jack Douglas, he left the studio at 10:30 and said he was just going to grab a bite to eat and then go home. Going home at around 10:30, he was walking in front of his apartment house, the Dakota, here in the Central Park West, which houses many famous people, Lauren Bacall amongst others, and a man who apparently was crouching in between two cars came up and pumped 7 bullets into John Lennon. Most of them went into his chest. He had wounds in the arm. The guard booth in front of the Dakota right now is riddled with bullets. There were many people there. The police were quick to come on the scene. They rushed John Lennon to St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital here in New York, where, unfortunately, on the way to the hospital, John Lennon died.
Do the police give you any information on the gentleman? He was described, out here anyway, to us as a local neighborhood lunatic. What can you tell us about this individual?
You have got it. A local screwball is what the quote from the police. They have not released the man's name as of yet. We do not know anything about him. All we know is that the suspect, if you will, is in custody. And that is about all we know at the time.
Meantime, the police have referred to this killing. They say that this is going to be treated as if it was John F. Kennedy. They're not saying much.
No, they're not right now. Things are still breaking here in New York, and again, as I say, they're not saying anything at all really about the suspect. As of a few minutes ago, we still did not know who he was, and that's the best. Fortunately, that's all the information we have.
I understand in front of the apartment building where John was gunned down, there are people now gathering outside.
There had been earlier in the evening. We're getting it's about 20 to 3 now, and from reports we've heard, crowds that had been in front of the Dakota are starting to dwindle to a precious few, if you will. But people were out in front. Flowers were being brought to the site. There were people wandering around, just sort of staring in disbelief at what had happened to not only a man to who the rest of the country or the rest of the world provided a great deal of music, but to most of us here was also a fellow New Yorker. It seems rather strange that you could be walking down the street and possibly see John Lennon, but you would. And that's how many people here had come to feel about him, and so there were people out in front of the apartment building and outside of the hospital, just in states of shock.
What about yourself personally? You're WNEW in New York. You're sitting. How did you find out about it? Just out of curiosity.
To be quite honest, I was watching Monday Night Football. My tour of duty here starts at midnight. Was watching the football game, became very bored with it, and decided to come into work early. And just as I'm walking in, this whole thing is breaking. So I got pressed into service on my shift much earlier. And right now, I'm just beginning to sort of realize everything that happens. As working as an editor here, you just have to develop a thick skin to practically anything that happens. and my thick skin had been working for the last couple of hours. Now it's starting to wear down, and I'm realizing that a man who is very important to my life, in a certain sense musically, is dead, because I don't want to age anybody or age myself. I was a little boy when the Beatles first broke on the scene, and I did not care anything about music until they came along. And now one of them is dead, and I'd often wondered to myself, particularly around the time that Elvis Presley died, what would I do if one of the Beatles died? So now I'm beginning to find out. And it's just a terrible way for anybody to die, though. That's the whole thing. Senseless way for anybody to die.
Perhaps? Well, man, listen, I can sympathize with your feelings, and it has been a tragedy, no doubt. And thank you for talking with us.
Right, we just got this. The police have identified the suspect in the shooting. He's a 25-year-old Mark David Chapman, a native of Hawaii. Police say Chapman had been in New York for 2 weeks and apparently had been stalking Lennon for several days. Chief of Detectives has described the suspect as a wacko. And, of course, Lennon was shot when he returned to his luxury apartment late last night after a recording session.
So that's the tragic news, Jim. We have the update for you. And if there's anything that you can say out of this whole matter, and the world is shocked, no doubt, we all have a certain feeling of rage, a frustration within us. This guy, as police call a local screwball, has done somebody in. And all of us feel, what can we do? What we can do is do what, John Lennon maybe would have wanted us to do. He preached love. Maybe pity the poor guy, because someone killed someone we believed in. But let's not let it kill something that we believe in. Love.